Hello everyone, welcome back to Durable Media. I have some news on some camera equipment that I have. As you can see, this crazy looking tripod. And something else that I've been wanting to talk to some people about. Most of my viewers know me personally, but I know a couple of people don't know me personally or haven't at least met me but know who I am. My cameras, I use these things all the time. I bring them to shows, I bring them to like car shows, the 4-H fair, major events, even like church stuff, I bring these things to. I did the Eucharistic pilgrimage with it. I've done commercials with them, especially the JVC. And I've been asked a lot of questions about the camera, so we're gonna get to those at the end of the episode. So please stay tuned so you can figure out some news and the truth behind these cameras. But anyway, let's get into the first part of it. The first part is my new setup. So, the JVC 750. The whole point of these cameras, they're called ENG cameras, electronic news gathering. They're meant to be out in the world, basically. Like there's a burning building, you can put the camera on your shoulder, run out of the studio and capture that. And then, the building collapses, you can keep it on your shoulder and run with it. That's not to be mistaken with an EFP, electronic field production, which is more of, it's going to sit on a tripod, that's going to be wired up to a van that broadcasts, or it's going to be in a studio. If you ask me, electronic field production should be the other one because you're out in the field with it, but it's a whole thing. I'm going to rant about that for a while, so we're just going to ignore that. Anyway, the JVC 750 is an ENG, electronic news gathering. So this camera can be thrown on my shoulder, used completely wirelessly, on a battery, broadcasting wirelessly, and I can take it wherever I want. That's the point of that camera. So, let's get into it. First things first, I will show you the case I have. This is the case that I have in my 750. My Blackmagic has an identical case. This is an Apache 5800. I love this case. I picked it up from Harbor Freight for like $100. So, I mean, they're nice and cheap, very sturdy. There's foam in them. I love it. Now, this specific one, my camera is so big that it would only fit in this thing disassembled without the foam, which is fine. There's a bottom layer of foam and a top layer of foam, and then there's a blanket on top of it. So it's protected. It'll be fine, but it's just unfortunate. My Blackmagic, on the other hand, that one does have foam. I should have cut out. I'd take the layers out, cut them out to fit, and I hot glued all the layers in place so they wouldn't come apart. So anyway, first things first, let's get to the JVC. All right. Shut up. All right, so I do have a lock for it because it's an expensive camera, the JVC GYHM 750U. So what we're going to do is we're going to unlock the case here, open it up. Like I said, there's foam up here. I have a blanket right here to protect the camera. Pop that off. I hope you can see a decent amount of that. We got the camera. This box actually goes to the follow focus I have. This is a power cable, the lens hood, the viewfinder, microphone, the V-mount plate, and the tripod plate. Sorry if you couldn't see that, but I'm trying my best here. Anyway, let's open it all up. This is the DC power cable that plugs into the camera and then plugs right back into something else. Microphone, viewfinder, lens hood, V-mount attachment from the gold mount, tripod plate. And then the star of the show, the JVC 750 itself. So first thing to notice is it does have a belt on here for the focus. That is for this. It's not always attached. I just have it attached right now. All right, get this box out of the way. So as you can see, it is pretty much disassembled as much as it can be. I have a lens cap for this, but I cannot for the life of me find a lens cap for the back and a cap for the body. I just can't. I have tried to chat GPT it. I've looked on Amazon. I've looked on eBay. I've looked at B&H. I've looked at Full Compass. I've looked everywhere. Scoured the internet, and I cannot find lens caps for the back of the lens and the front of the camera body. Don't ask me why. I just can't find them. Anyway, so first things first, we do have the camera. We're going to assemble it. Very quick, very simple. Lens hood, viewfinder, microphone, gold mount to V-mount adapter. There we go, she's assembled. Now we're going to take the tripod plate and we're going to put it right onto here. Take our camera, boom, it's attached. And then obviously on this side we have the V-mount battery, which will click right on there. There you go, she's on. Pretty simple, pretty quick, not a very long process, but I also want to talk about this tripod. So let's do that real quick. All right, so what the heck are we looking at with this tripod? First thing you're gonna know, it's got this very long, ugly piece of tube coming up with this machine right here. On the back, we have something that I've never seen before on a tripod. It's got a plate right here. This thing, it's got your handle, and it's another handle right here. So what is all of this? This right here is a wireless follow focus. So basically, this and that are the exact same thing. When you spin this, it spins that for the focus. Super simple. This specific lens, you cannot, it's not autofocus. And you cannot have a focus adjustment on it. It's just not built for that. So I bought a wireless, and that's what I'm gonna be working with. I have it right here. Oh, also it just happens to also to mount it to the lens. I had to have a big ugly piece of conduit come over. So it looks awful, I know, but it functions, I promise. All right, so that's our focus stuff done. Next, the zoom handle. Very simple, zoom, toggle in and out. You have your return button and your VTR button. So the return button, from what I've researched, correct me if I'm wrong, when you click that, it's supposed to return video from the camera back to the broadcast station, but I don't use that because it's an SDI out, so it constantly puts it back anyway. I use that for a focus assist. So it turns everything green, so I know what is and isn't in focus. The VTR is my record button, and then your zoom. It's as simple as that. Nothing special about it. Now, let's look and see what is right here. This is a remote for the camera itself. So this plugs in, I can control my white balance, my gain, my shutter, my paints, my master black, my iris. You know, I can control a lot of stuff, but a lot of settings can be done with the camera on this. And there's already preloaded files on it that I can set. So I can click File, I can select what file I want, click it, and it automatically goes to the thing that I want. So you're probably wondering, why do I have all of this on this tripod? I mean, I could be fine with just the zoom handle and the focus, or this also has zoom and focus on it, right? Why couldn't I just use this one remote and control zoom and focus with one remote? Well, I'll tell you why. First off, I've always wanted to build a setup like this for this camera. This has been a long time in the making. I mean, we're talking 3 or 4 months and a lot of money dumped into this singular tripod. And this tripod might not even last that long. I might end up switching out from a tripod. But anyway, the main point of it is all of this right here. So let's start for the first part. Getting a tripod that has the 2 handles with the zoom control, the focus control, and all that, you usually need a big, beefy tripod. This one right here is an Avella VH501, a Bogen model 3063. That's a decently strong tripod. I love that one. I've held heavy cameras on that tripod. I've held heavy cameras on this tripod. This one came with my Blackmagics when we got them. So this tripod was just what I've used ever since I got the Blackmagics. So anyway, those gigantic, beefy tripods with the big arms on them and all that, they're so expensive. I mean, you'd be looking up to $20,000 for those tripods. And I'm like, I barely want to spend $200 on a tripod, more or less $20,000. Like I said, this tripod came with my Blackmagics. That Bogen was given to me as a gift. So why would I buy a new one? Okay, so I thought to myself, I need a 2-handle tripod, but I was not about to buy a new head or buy a new tripod or both. So I asked Brian, my best friend, who you've seen on Anything's Possible, I asked him to build me a tripod setup, which he did. which it is these arms and this metal plate right here. Literally all this is conduit with a big piece of metal. There's nothing special about it. You got one screw going into this side of the head. You got another bolt, actually, because we're not fancy, going into this side of the head with a nut on the inside of here. And then it's pieces of conduit that go down his arms. And then you got just a plate of metal. And there's also a magnet, so you can connect the remote to it like that. So really nothing fancy, but it's a very, very awesome setup. So we got that out of the way. We built that. So now my thought is, how can I control zoom, focus, and record without touching the camera whatsoever? Because when I did football, I broadcast football for a living, by the way, in case no one knew that. I do a lot of football broadcasts. When the camera is sitting, like this, I have one arm here, I have one arm here. So when I'm trying to like turn, sometimes that gets a little tricky, having to like move my entire body around and then zoom in and then hit the focus, having to move like that. So being able to move like this just makes more sense, right? So I thought to myself, if I'm moving like this, I gotta be able to control zoom, focus, and my record button. Because that way I'm not doing this constantly, having to go record and then having to move back and forth like this. So what was the easiest way for me to do that? That would be by a remote. So I went online, did a little bit of research, and I found the user manual for the 750. If you're interested in that, I can link it in the description below. In there, I found this, and it said remote. So I went on eBay, and I looked it up, and I looked at the part number, and sure enough, they were there. They were like $140, like around 140 for one of them, which I'm like, dang, that kind of sucks. That's a lot of money for a remote. But after scrolling like to the very, very bottom, I found two of these in the same lot for $50. So 25 bucks each, not that bad. Plus I have two of them in case one doesn't work, or in case LeBlanc needs one for his camera, because he also has a 750. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy that one. So I bought it. They arrived very quickly. I have zero issues with this seller. It was exactly as advertised, but I was very pissed off to find out when I plugged this in, the zoom and the focus don't work. And my first thought was, well, he sold me a broken remote, right? No. I ended up doing a little bit more research. Turns out these ENG lens cannot be worked with this remote. But the iris works with it. So this has an iris controller. That's a little knob that controls iris back and forth. It will control the iris on the lens, but it will not control the electronic zoom, and it will not control the focus. It controls 1/3 of the lens, but the lens isn't compatible. That's what it says. Lens is not compatible, but it controls 1/3 of it. So, very dumb. So I ended up doing a little bit more ChatGPT research, and I was like, what lens works with this? It's a box lens. They want me to pay like 200 grand for a box lens, which I said no. Not because I don't want to, but because I can't. So I thought to myself in my stubborn ways, screw you, JVC, I'm gonna win this fight. So I did a little bit more research. And then I found another 750 on eBay at this time, and LeBlanc Productions has been trying to buy the 750 off me for a while. So I said, stop bugging me, here's a 750. It was like $500 off eBay. He talked the guy down to like 300 or something like that and bought the camera. This is relevant, don't worry. Anyway, I'm still on the lookout for what I'm needing, right? For the zoom handle. I am scouring the internet for it. Cannot find anything close to what I need. They all have the wrong pin attachment. They're all for like a 2.5mm aux looking thing. When I needed this, like, what was it, 8-pin, 2, 4, 6, I think it's an 8-pin. So it wasn't gonna work. And at this point, I decided, I found something. It was a little rocker switch with a record button on it. That's it. And it had the same pins that the lens had. So I bought it. I asked ChatGPT, I'm like, will this fit? And it said, yes, it should fit. The record button might not work, but the zoom should work. I said, you know what? Screw it. Fine. So I bought it. It was like $80. And then Not even a day later, LeBlanc called me up, he showed me the camera and goes, guess what I have with the camera? He had one of these focus, or these zoom knobs here. And I'm like, what the heck? So I asked him to send it over to me because I want it, and he said, no, sucks to suck. So instead he gave me the part number. Thanks, John. So he gave me the part number, I looked it up, I found it on eBay for like 144 bucks plus shipping. Whatever. So I bought it because I want the actual thing. Plus it had a handle on it. The other one was like this big and it screwed onto the handle and you had to use the handle plus the knob. It was really weird. But that also came and it actually does work. So I have an extra. But it's an actual JVC. It's great. If anyone needs the part numbers, tell me in the comments below. I will list part numbers for stuff because this was hard to find. I did end up finding out later that in the user manual I found, it had these parts. I just looked over them. So I had the zoom, I had the settings controller. All I needed was the focus. I did a little bit more research. This lens is a Canon lens. It is the KT14 by 4.4B. I don't know if that's the actual name of it. It's a 14 times zoom lens. It's a Canon lens. Just look up like Canon lens for JVC 750. It's a native lens. This lens was built for this camera. I looked at it, I looked it up. It's an only manual focus. I didn't even realize that until I looked it up because I've never used autofocus because autofocus is gay. No one, I don't know who likes to use autofocus. Obviously people like it, but I hate autofocus. It is so stupid. When you're broadcasting, autofocus always gets in the way, and I hate it. I always do manual focus. So I never touched I've never used full auto mode on this camera, to be totally honest with you. I've only ever used manual. Only like automatic iris is what I've only ever used on this. Otherwise, I don't ever touch automatic. I always go manual mode, which is good. I like manual mode. So I looked it up. There is no autofocus whatsoever. There's no servo for it whatsoever on the focus, which is awful. So I did a little more research. I found the focus rod. It looks just like this, but you twist the handle to focus. And I was like, oh, that's neat. So I looked into it, and it turns out this lens also doesn't support that either. Because it's a speedometer cable that goes into like the bottom of the lens, and it just turns, and that's what rotates this. But the issue is, it's not compatible. So I still can't even use it. So I was at a loss. Nothing. I was lost. I could not do it, and I was very upset because I already bought everything. Until I found this wireless follow focus, which was awesome. This thing cost me, I think like 170 or something. It was on sale. I forget how much it cost, but it cost a decent amount of money. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. It gets the job done. If you go too fast, it will rattle, it'll make sounds, it can skip sometimes. So it's not perfect, but like you gotta be like really fast on it, which I'm not usually that fast on it anyway. So not a huge deal, but that's the tripod. So how much did I pay for this tripod? I think I have about 500 put into it. Like 150, 200, 3 something, 450, 500 bucks, maybe. 450 or 500 bucks putting in this tripod. Well, I guess with the plate too. The plate cost me 90 bucks. I found the plate on eBay as well. eBay's been very helpful for me. This plate is very expensive, but I found it for 90 bucks. So, an actual JVC one too. All right, so now the question is, was it worth it? Yes. Let me show you guys how to set this up. It's actually pretty awesome. So, what we're gonna do is, let's get the battery in this. Make sure it turns on everything. Yep, turns on still. Good. Okay. What was that? Battery's not dead. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna line this up, click. Now it's mounted on the tripod. So now what we're gonna do is make sure the focus is all the way to the infinite part on the thing. Basically focused all the way out. And then we're going to line, Oh, there we go. Line that up. All right, now cable for the zoom goes this way. I put it through the microphone cable, through the handle, and then straight up. Then we have the cable for the remote, which plugs right into the side right here where it says remote. Pretty simple. You're probably wondering how to power up the focus assist or follow focus. That's where this stuff comes in handy. Just a portable charger and two USB-C cables. All right, so now we got it all plugged in. We got the battery, we got the extender, goes down to this, and then goes up to this. And as you can see, this can control that. So, next thing to do is take the lens cap off. We open up this, and then turn it on. We also have to make sure that the lens is set to servo mode. That way the zoom will actually control it. All right, set the date and time. Cool, all right. And then I don't know how much you can see, but we can adjust settings and stuff on it with the remote. So the whole point of this is so I can be, doing whatever I do over here. I turn this one, like, oh, it's a little bit too bright. I can, boom, lower that brightness. And it's like, oh, too dark, brighten it up. It's like, oh, the white balance is incorrect. I can do this, and I can start adjusting the white balance, which, right there looks perfect. Click white balance again, go back to that, and then boom, we're good to go. And then again, I can control that. This right here controls my focus, and then this right here controls my zoom. So, super awesome setup. This thing is really cool, and it has been fantastic to work with so far. I haven't done any football games with it yet, but I hope to do some football games with it. October, I think I'm going to be doing October game. I'm going to be doing football games in October with it, so that should be pretty awesome to see how it does in action. I can only imagine it's going to do fantastic. The only thing I wish is I wish that zoom was a lot faster. I can do it faster in my hand because obviously I can go really fast, but it is what it is. We'll see how it works. It is a test run for it anyway, but there you go. This is my setup. It took me months to build, and like I said, this part of the tripod is actually custom built. So yeah, it really didn't take much though. I mean, I don't need this remote in the middle. I don't need this, but I like having it because I already bought it. But it does make things a lot nicer. So I have my focus, my camera settings, my zoom and recording. So there's really not much else to it. The only thing I'm missing is a monitor on top, which I found them, but they're just really, really, really expensive. So I don't want to buy one right now. Buying all of this cost me a ton of money, and it takes a lot of time to make up that money. So bear with me on this build. It is still in the process slightly. But honestly, after a top monitor, maybe a better follow focus, and then I'm probably set. But maybe a new lens. I would love to get like a nice Fujinon, like 20 times zoom. I think that would be really awesome. But, all right. Now it's time to talk about my cameras, like all of them. As you know, I have this JVC 750, which, I mean, prices change a lot between these things. They could go between $9,000 to $15,000, depending what you have on it. I have Blackmagics. I got ones that aren't rigged up, like this one. This is just a bare body. Literally, I don't think I've ever actually used this one before. I bought it, I don't think I've ever actually used it. It's labeled as my crash cam in case I'm doing something very sketchy and something might break. This is the camera that I would use. It comes with a bunch of batteries and whatnot. So I got that one. The one I'm recording on, which is a fully rigged out Blackmagic. And then, I also got this one. As I said, an identical case to the JVC, except it didn't say ENG on it. This one as well, which is again a almost fully rigged up Blackmagic Pocket 6K cinema camera. The only thing it's missing is a shotgun mic and a top monitor, because monitors are expensive. My camera that I'm using right now, that one has a top monitor. I'm not using it, but you get what I'm saying. It's expensive. If I wanted to add on to that order, that stuff, it was going to cost an extra $4,500. 45. I'm sorry, not 45. $400 or $500. I actually got lucky during Prime Week to be able to get most of this for about $600, $700. So saved me a lot of money to be able to get all this. But this is an entire Blackmagic 6K set right here. Same exact setup as that one right here. And I got the one with the no body on it. I do have multiple lenses and everything. So I am set up to do more videos with the Blackmagics, and I have before. God's Word in Silver is still being filmed on the Blackmagics. But yeah, and I will be using these with Leblon. So there's a lot to unpack with camera stuff, and there's still a lot I can get. So, as I mentioned before, I've used these cameras for everything. I don't ever go little with my videos. I always make bigger production stuff. Even this could have been done on a handy cam, but I'm using a $5,000 cinema camera to do it. It's also in crop 6K because why not, right? I can do it. But the question is, what's with all the cameras? Like I said, I take this to like a 4-H fair. I've taken it to do commercials. I've taken it to do simple videos. I mean, home movies I've done this on. And when you walk in with a television camera, people ask a lot of questions. And I get asked a lot, even by people who I know personally. Who owns the cameras? Who sponsors the cameras? You know, who pays for them? Realistically, there's no deed to a camera. So, like, I can tell you who owns it, but, like, there's no proof of who owns it. The Blackmagic scheme with receipts, so that's the best way you can know. I had a receipt for that camera I'm using right now, but it was the original owner who bought it, so it's useless to me. But there's not really like a title or a deed to a camera, so it's kind of like my word against yours. So I could pick it up and say I own it, or my brother can pick it up and say he owns it. But people have asked me all the time when I do my videos, who sponsors the camera? Who actually owns it? Who is the actual person who is supplying the cash, supplying the money to get 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras? You know, we got the Blackmagics, they're $2,800 brand new, just the body alone, just this thing right here. This right here is $2,800 and without a lens. So if you buy it without a lens, it's just an expensive paperweight. When you buy a lens, the normal one that I'm using right now is a Sigma 18-35, same one that's on this black over here. So I gotta have 3 of those, and I have 3 of them. So all these cameras can have lenses on all at once. Plus, I have 2 70 to 180 millimeter Canon lenses, and then I have a wide angle lens. I don't have any more for this one. This one is what it is. But, I mean, lenses are expensive. I rigged out this camera. I rigged out that camera. I had this whole tripod built. The lenses on these ENGs are thousands upon thousands of dollars. I mean, I've seen them go for 28 grand. So who's the one paying for it? Who is giving me these cameras, and who is the real person behind it who's paying for it? Well, the answer may not shock you. Me. I own these cameras. They're all mine. So, yes, these cameras are very expensive. Yes, they cost tons and tons of money. They're ridiculous. But I didn't pay all that for these things. No, they weren't free. And yes, they were still expensive. So, let's start with the Blackmagics first off. The very first camera I ever got was the one I'm recording on right now, which is just this. It's a rigged out one of these, Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. This is the first generation, I believe this is called, because the second gen, the Pro, has a flip out screen. This is not a Pro. This is an older model. But it functions fantastic. I love it. So when did I get that? I got it sometime in like September or October of, I believe it was 23. Yeah, 2023, as an early birthday gift. So my dad bought it for me. At the time, I was using a Canon XL1S that I was kind of had like on a loan almost. It was borrowed, basically. I was borrowing it from a friend to make videos with. My dad saw I was using this very crappy quality camera, and he goes, hey, for your birthday, I want to buy you a camera, but you have to pick it out because I don't know anything about cameras. I said, you know, that's a great idea. So I went out and we found this one. My dad found this one. So we drove out and we bought it. It was basically fully rigged up. I added a few stuff to it. It was basically fully rigged up with a battery, with a V-mount battery. I bought this one, but with a thinner V-mount battery, and this tripod. $2,800. The story was the guy bought it a couple months prior, and he took it to Chicago, to New York, did some videos with it, and then never touched it again. Of course, I didn't believe that story, because who buys a camera like this, puts all this money into it, and never uses it? So I brought it home. He gave me boxes. He gave me everything. Everything was with the camera. So I opened up one of the boxes, and I found the receipt. He wasn't lying. He really did buy this camera, brand new, from Blackmagic, rigged the entire thing out, and only used it for a couple of months and never touched it again. So he actually wasn't lying. So thank you for being honest. So I looked, it was true. It barely was ever touched. So this camera that I'm recording on is practically brand new. Maybe only a couple years, 2 years old. I've used it a lot, but yeah, it's got almost no hours on it when I bought it. It probably had a solid 30 minutes when I bought it, which isn't bad. So then, 2 or 3 months later, came these two Blackmagics, which when I bought them, they were both like this. I just recently rigged this one out, but they were both like this. I found the two of them in Joliet for $1,200 for those plus 2 lenses, which were the Sigma 35 millimeters. My dad helped me pay for it, but I paid my dad back for it. So I bought them. It was $1,200, plus I bought a gimbal for like $800. I think the cameras were $12, the lenses were $6 or $8, and the gimbal was $800. But I paid my dad back for those, so I'm clear on that. And then came this camera, the beauty of the 750. This one, I've been looking for an 850 for a while because I always used the 850 when I was on a job. And I love the 850. The 850 was great quality, beautiful, beautiful camera. And the functionality was out of this world. But I found a 750, which is fine. I love the 750. It's great, but I wish it was an 850. But anyway, I found it online. The guy wanted $1,200 for it. I ended up talking him down to $725. So yes, I bought this pretty much $15,000 camera for $725. So it's not about brand new, how many hours are on it. This one has almost 800 hours on it. So it's not new, but not old. But to be fair, this camera was built in 2011. Like when you turn it on, it thinks it's 2011. So it's an old camera, but it functions fantastic. So realistically, all you have to look out for in getting a camera is what's the condition of it. Like if it had 1,000 hours on it, I don't care as long as it functions, as long as it hasn't been beaten up, it wasn't a crash cam, things like that. So that is the whole secret behind it is I'm not paying full price for these cameras. Yes, I can say this camera is valued at $15,000 brand new. This is a $2,800 camera brand new. This entire stuff right here is $5 or $6 grand. The stuff I'm using right there is about $6 grand. So I can say that, but I didn't pay $6,000, $6,000, $2,800, and $15,000. You know, I don't know how much I actually have in all these cameras, but obviously I didn't pay for that one at all. That was a birthday gift, but I mean, yeah. So these two cameras were $1,200 plus their lenses. I think another $800 on top of that, which that was probably the most amount of money I've ever spent on cameras was those two. This was $725. The battery I think was about $80, $90, maybe a little over 100. But this was pretty cheap. I got it for a really good price. It was listed for a long time. The guy was tired of looking at it. He had some sort of wedding business, and he was tired of looking at the camera. So I got it off of him. So yeah, that is my new setup. I hope you guys enjoy it. There will be videos fairly soon coming on this. There you go. Here is my new broadcasting rig. If you guys have any other questions about the cameras or how I use them or honestly anything else at all, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to answer any questions that everybody has. If there's anything else you want to see on these cameras, please tell me. Yeah, I'm open to some fun ideas of what we can do. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.